Welcome to the Gleeful Meeple, a podcast all about board games where strategy meets laughter and being a rummy dummy might leave you all alone counting tumbleweeds. In this episode, we're joined by a special guest to talk about what it takes to win at board games. A lot. Like, a lot. He wins a lot. We take it to the Wild West to hunt down outlaws in this week's game of the show, Wyatt Earp. And you, the Gleeples, get to play along as the hosts get put in the hot seat with this week's game challenge. You best get ready because you're not the only sheriff coming to town. And if you want to capture the most outlaws, you'll need to think outside the box. A coffin-shaped box, that is. Hey, fellow sheriffs.
What's up, guys? I feel like it's only been 2 weeks, but I feel like it's been forever.
It's been a long 2 weeks, and a lot of things have happened.
Well, I'm Emily, and I feel like it's been 2 weeks.
I'm James, and it's been two weeks.
I'm Dwayne. It's been 14 days.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark, and it's been about 2 days for me.
And I'm JK, and I don't know how many days it's been, but I will say this. My favorite James Earl Jones movie, non-Star Wars, is probably The Sandlot.
Rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that's sad news today.
I mean, he made 90. 90-ish, somewhere
90?
in his 90s.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a good high score.
I mean, compared to when our game of the show was set, that's a pretty good,
Yeah.
age of life.
Yeah. Hey, folks, you probably heard another voice that's unfamiliar. That's Mark. We're going to introduce Mark in just a little bit. But first,
To brighten things up a little bit, I have a riddle for you guys.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I don't know if this is going to be challenging or not. It's a little weird. A glass of wine spilled. We share a name.
Grand Austria Hotel.
To build me is to be in frame.
Viticulture.
This snake doesn't bite, but it still can leave some pain, stealing the hopes of those that follow after selection has been made. The hue through which you see the light will shine the true color of my sunrise delight. No touchy, I'm picky. Don't make me the same. Ask for help as needed, and you'll win this beautiful game.
Canvas.
No.
So we got wine, we got snakes, we got
wine.
selection.
So I'm going to throw out viticulture.
I already did that.
You did? Okay.
2 days.
I wasn't paying attention to you. Sorry.
Let me start it again.
Okay.
A glass of wine spilled, we share a name.
Okay.
To build me is to be in frame.
Sagrada.
Yes.
Oh,
Good job,
well
JK.
done. Well done.
What?
Stained glass.
Yes.
The brain finally kicked in.
Nice.
I like
Great
it.
job. And I was like, this has got snakes in it, some hues. I was like, they're either going to get this right away or not at all.
Where are the snakes?
Oh, yeah. What do you think? Think about that one. This snake doesn't bite, but it can still leave some pain.
Snake drafting the dice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
Or
smart.
snake eyes on the dice.
Yeah, that too. Good job, JK. I'm glad that we didn't have a repeat of last week where it took a minute. I
Just
feel like
the
it took a
dead
minute.
silence on air as we all sit and stare at each
Good
other,
times.
not sure what we got.
What dead silence? That never existed.
Yeah. Guys, I'm mad.
What are you mad about?
I am mad, fuming mad,
Let's
madder
go.
than I've been in a while. And,
Good.
and Dwayne, you're impacted by this.
Okay,
So I don't know
I'm
if you're
mad
on
about
board for
something
this.
This is a
different, but
safe
let's
space.
talk.
Safe space, JK.
Okay, so let's talk about CMON and their Kickstarter programs. So
I've heard stories.
yeah, personally, I have invested in 4 different CMON campaigns for Marvel United, X-Men, Marvel United Multiverse, DC United, and the most recent Cthulhu Death May Die.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm invested with CMON for more than $2,000 in 4 games. So they are currently in fulfillment for Marvel United Multiverse. Now, bear in mind, this game was posted and the campaign ended early February 2023. They completed the manufacturing of the game around April of this year. We still don't have it. And their most recent update said could be September, could be October. We don't really know yet. On top of that, in their current shipping, they have suffered through some packing list issues. So it's entirely possible you might receive an order of Marvel United, open it up and realize it ain't yours. And they want you to box it back up and ship it to the person that it actually belongs to.
Oh,
Who's paying
that's
for that?
insane.
my
I
God.
don't know. So this is a campaign
Wow.
that took in $4.78 million in funding. And to me, this shipping, figuring out the organization of it has just been a mess. Throw in on top of it. So I'm already a little annoyed that it's taking forever, but I have enough games. I can tolerate waiting for something quality. I'm a little annoyed by the shipping mistakes that they're running into. But the thing that really gets under my skin more than anything else is that you guys saw this game at Gen Con in August, and retailers have received this game. So I could go on Amazon today, and other than the Kickstarter exclusives, buy everything on Amazon and have it shipped to my house tomorrow. Ugh, I'm angry.
But you do at least get the Kickstarter exclusives when yours gets sent to you.
Yes.
I do, but I could also go on Amazon and buy everything that's not a Kickstarter exclusive, and go on eBay and buy one of the Kickstarter exclusive boxes that people already have.
What's
Wait,
the
how do
markup?
people already
What's
have
the
the-
markup on that, though?
It's high. It's high. So they divided U.S. shipping into East Coast and West Coast. And I'm pretty sure Tennessee is going to fall into the East Coast shipping, obviously, by the way things have panned out. So West Coast replenishment is already done. The only thing we're waiting on is everybody on the East Coast.
Oh, geez.
So Amazon has it. All the buyers have it. Clearly, CMON had it for Gen Con well in advance. So there's a lot of annoyance there. CMON. You've got $4.7 million on this campaign alone. And to me, I don't feel they're an unorganized company. I know one of the things that you've defended a lot of people on in the past, James, is the size of the company and the amount of people working there. I feel like CMON is a higher scale.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good, because if you were going to try to defend that argument,
No,
I was gonna
not
shoot
at
you
all.
down.
There's a few companies that are outside of that box, and CMON is one of them.
Yeah. And I think when you look at their Kickstarter campaigns, when they figure out the detailed planning of when to release little nuggets into the stream to get people to buy, there's a lot of organization. There's a lot of thought that's going on their side. So it can't be a lack of organization that's resulting in all of the delays and kind of putting the Kickstarter buyers down the list. I think the more sad reality is they just don't care.
I think it could be both. I mean, you don't know what's going on in that company. The person that used to run logistics could have quit, and someone else got hired on board, and they just aren't good.
Yeah.
You know,
This isn't a new issue yet, though.
No,
I
not at all.
feel like I've been hearing this about CMON for several years now.
It's not. And the backers of this campaign in particular are livid in the comments about this, and kind of making a comment that I'm going to say in front of you guys. I'm going to really try to hold myself to this, but this is going to come out shocking. I am not going to back another CMON project on Kickstarter.
I was about to say, it sucks to see just a brand name that used to be held with such revere, just go down and down and down. And
Yeah.
it's okay, well, this was it. I'm not going to do it again.
well, I think this all started when to your point, Mark, you mentioned in the last few years, they started doing 2-wave shipping.
Mm-hmm.
And that started a whole conversation of, one, that just being really confusing, not working the way it was supposed to when they first tried it. Crazy high shipping costs. They really weren't subsidizing much of the shipping to backers the last few campaigns they did for the last few years, really. And then it's led to this.
Yeah.
So I think this has been brewing for a few years, like Mark said.
Now, the flip side of that, Garfield Games, we've talked about them on the show a lot. I think they're based out of Australia. It's a small team operation, but they put out some quality games.
I think New Zealand.
New Zealand, somewhere in that South Pacific, I guess. They just recently did a Kickstarter for their most recent game, Inventors of the South Tigris. Mm-hmm. That game funded late March of this year for $400,000. I got that game last week. It arrived at my house, production, shipping, everything. If Garfield Games can do it on 10% of what CMON has earned, surely they can figure this out.
Yeah, I one thing with Garfield Games is that those are kind of essentially pre-orders. When they launch a campaign, the game is actually already finalized and done and ready to go to print, which is why we get them so fast. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get 3 Garfield games delivered this year, I think. maybe 2. I
Wow.
can't remember. Because they're already kind of done.
Yeah.
So there is no like designing left to be done. The files have already been sent to the printer. They're just waiting for all the money to come in. So it's a little bit different. But if you know manufacturing was done in April and they still aren't shipped out, that's a problem.
They're not even on a boat yet.
Yeah.
So
because they lose money the longer it's. They want it to get on a boat. So that's just CMON is. It sounds like they've gotten too big for their britches. And I would say it's a combination of both. They don't care. The fact that they're asking, they're not just eating it and saying, hey, we shipped it to the wrong person. We'd love for you to partner with us and help get to the right person. But if not, we're going to eat it and get you your game.
yeah.
And, that's just a mistake. You can't ask people to ship your stuff around for you.
and at Gen Con, they came out with the Witching Hour pack, which isn't part of that Kickstarter. So why not, eat a little bit of money, maybe eat a little bit of pride, offer that to all your Kickstarter people and say, hey, we're really sorry this is taking so long. You're going to get the Witching Hour for free. Nope, hasn't even been brought up. In fact, nobody from CMON has responded to a single comment.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
I've gotten to on Kickstarters where I just don't even bother with the comments anymore. I check in every so often to see when shipping's happening, but it's usually just like full of complaints and bickering, and it's just not an environment that I want to spend a lot of time in. I get on there, I order my stuff, and when it gets here, it will get here. Sometimes the retail stuff comes out first. Kickstarter is not a pre-order company. It's not a promise that you will get it before anybody else. It sucks to show up at a convention knowing like,
For sure.
hey, could I just take one of these home with me? And you can't, of course, no. But yeah, that's just the nature of the beast with Kickstarter. When I order stuff from Kickstarter, I'm doing it because I like the company. I'm doing it because usually I'm going to get some fun goods that I won't from if I wait for till the retail, and I just kind of put it on the back burner and worry about it when it shows up. Or when my friends start getting their orders and I'm like, uh-oh, somebody didn't complete their backer kit survey.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the other question mark. So with the issues they're having with this packing list snafu, could my order have actually shipped? Could my order be at somebody's house? That was
I
just
don't
sitting on
think
it?
our orders. I think we are going to be seeing ours in late October, early November, for where we are in the country.
I don't know if I get somebody's order and the packing list is wrong, but I've got the exact same package that I'm supposed to have.
Oh yeah, no, that's my package now. As far as I'm,
Right.
if it came to my address and it has my games in it, that is my package. I will go ahead and hold on to that. I've got a real quick aggravating thing that happened.
Take me off this topic for sure.
Okay, did you all know most of us has played Pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Did you know it is completely possible to lose Pandemic on the first round of the game?
I did not, but if you can't, then
if you set up and the cities that get infected with 3 cubes are really close to each other, and then you draw an epidemic as like the first player.
First player to drew epidemic,
and so then
we
just chain
lost
reactions
by running out of cubes. Now, if that was a normal Pandemic game, that happened to me over the weekend, me and Brooke. It was a normal Pandemic game.
First turn.
First turn. Brooke took her 4 actions, flipped over an epidemic. We got hit on the same cities, outbreaks. We had a lot of stuff. We had a situation. I don't want to give away. Let me get to this point. If it had happened during a normal Pandemic game, no problem. We reset and we start over.
Was this a legacy?
This was during a legacy game.
No.
We lost out of a game that has 24 max plays. We lost an entire play based on a bad flip
in
of
5
cards.
minutes.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It was disappointing.
What? It's based off of a calendar year.
Yep.
What month
Start
was
of March.
this?
It was the start of March for
Oh,
us.
that's what we're about to do tomorrow. Now I'm nervous.
I was not, and Brooke was so mad. She's like, because I was ready to go back into, because you can play each month twice. You have 2 chances to win a month. I was ready to go back in, and Brooke is like, I am over this. I'm like, oh my god, we played for 5. Now, of course, setup was like 30
Spent
minutes.
more time in setup. Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I feel like that's an experience where it's like, I gotta walk away, man. I can't do this right now.
After you play your first round of March, let's talk, because there's something that happened in there that made it more possible for that to happen than in other scenarios. But
no,
yeah,
I'm scared.
I was livid.
I think I know what that is if I remember the game. So,
Man.
Well, I want to add one more thought to that, JK,
Let's
to
go.
your topic. So I got to say it. I do have a solution. There's a solution to that,
okay.
but it never happens.
Don't do Kickstarters.
I was just about to say that.
Well, but there's a number of companies that are habitual offenders of running poor campaigns, and yet those they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because they get $4.9
Because they get
million.
$4.9 million
Yeah.
after 3 years of figuring out multi-stage shipping and this and that. People keep giving them money. Until that stops, it ain't going to stop.
I mean, it's an interest-free loan, basically.
Yeah.
It's like no matter what amount you're getting, it's still free money.
I've backed 4 campaigns at $2,000 of my own money. Those 4 campaigns combined is more than $20 million. So...
Well, on a more positive note,
Let's go.
let's make our brains work a little bit.
Okay.
Help us. I want to be better.
I need to be better.
games.
Yes.
I was about to say, that's usually a therapist's job if you want to be better.
So we brought in...
That's what this podcast is for, Emily. I share
hold on.
get all my
Where am I?
emotions out.
We brought in a guest today. I think I've widely said at different events that I enjoy playing games. However, I don't win a lot of games. I'm usually sitting down in about the 15% to 10% win category. I've got a good friend from our group that it seems like when I play him, man, the challenge is just to beat him. And that's Mark Kaiser, who's joining us today.
Hey, Mark.
Hello,
Hi, Mark.
everyone.
How long have you been in Gleeful Meeple, Mark?
Oh, I have to think about that. I would guess it'd be 3 years at this point,
Okay.
maybe a little bit more. As serves in my memory recalls, it's been about 3 years.
Did you
Okay.
join us post-pandemic?
Yeah, it would have been post-pandemic. I think it was a long summer where, I wasn't getting out as much as I wanted to, and it was kind of an outlet for just being more social initially.
So I've played a lot of games with Mark. Right before we recorded the show, we were kind of looking through our numbers and statistics and trying to see who our most commonly seen players were when we're gaming. And James on the podcast is amongst my top gamers. Mark is right there on a high end of the list too. And I really enjoy playing with you. You're extremely intelligent. And there's always that challenge of coming into a game and going, wow, am I even going to contend with Mark in this game is going to be the key thing. So one of the things that we kind of wanted to bring you on the show to talk about today is damn, how did you get so good at this?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is experience. Gaming is my number one hobby. It's not always been board gaming. Going into my childhood, lots of video gaming, lots of PC gaming. And the more games you play, the more familiar you are with the mechanisms surrounding them. So, I mean, there's something to be said for, knowing different strategies, but really repetition is what gets you better at games. It's not, any tricks that I may have. It's you play more games, you kind of get comfortable with them. You get comfortable with losing. You get comfortable with playing players that are better than you. And the more you play, the better you get. That's my opinion, at least.
So the comfortable with losing part is interesting. What do you mean by that? Is it after you've lost, it doesn't bother you, so you're able to retrospectively look at why and how you lost rather than being caught up in the emotion of losing and just not thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, going into a game, I never expect to win. I think it's a healthy mindset to just expect you're going to lose your first game, because if you've never played it before and you're playing against people who have, you probably are going to lose.
For what it's worth, every game that I go into with you, I expect you to win. So that's kind of a given.
I think having just kind of an experimental mindset and going into the game thinking, I'm probably going to lose this, but maybe I can focus on something and learn something this game. And in my mind, if I'm learning something from the first game I played, that's a win for me. I don't necessarily have to win.
I think that's huge. I mean, it allows you to make that first play of the game not something that is frustrating or annoying. Oh, this game sucks, or I can't figure it out. This is stupid, and you're actually able to take something away from it. So you might actually want to play it again because it might be a good game. You just didn't do great at it the first time. Yeah. So to have the cognizance to have that mindset all the time probably keeps your stress level pretty low, huh? Playing games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never really that bummed when I lose. There's some times when, things don't go your way and you get frustrated, but it's better to have kind of that mindset going into playing a game for the first time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you heated at a table, and
I was just thinking about it.
That's probably why.
I think, Mark, you're one of the chillest gamers.
Yeah, the even keel when things aren't going your way, and now I know why. The mystery's been solved.
So,
thanks, Mark.
What are some of your favorite games to play? Bring to a table?
I'd say probably midweight Euros are usually I generally like strategy games that don't have a high rule complexity, but have a lot of depth within the game itself. So the game that kind of got me really into the hobby, and probably got a ton of other people into the hobby, is Settlers of Catan. I remember playing that in college, and just kind of my experience with board gaming prior to that, was the games of the 90s. And that was the first game that I really played where I realized the choices that I was making could allow me to win more often than the dice that I rolled or whatever. So that was my favorite game for a long time. I think since then it's come down a little bit in my ranking, but it's probably still top 5. My favorite game at the moment is a game called Hansa Teutonica, yes. Which is I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. I try to preach the Church of Hansa T to anybody who's willing to listen.
And I think that's probably what I've played with you more than any other game for sure.
That game I love because it's extremely tactical, and if you've got, I tell people if you've got a strategy going into that game, like I'm going to get actions till I've got 4 actions, and I'm going to get as many merchants as I can, and I'm going to take that into a win, you're probably going to lose. It's a game where having a strategy is a detriment rather than
you kind of have to be more reactive to what everybody
Correct.
else is doing.
And that's what I love about it. It's quick turns, and every turn is you're changing gears. So
yeah, more tactical than strategic.
Right.
I would say one of the things I love about that game is I'm not a huge take that gamer. So games where there's a lot of, you can attack people and do that kind of ruin people's board states, that kind of stuff. Not a huge fan of it. I'll play games if that's like what the core of the game is. And that's what everyone's doing. I can accept it and make it work. But games that have that kind of put it in there in weird ways where it just seems out of place. Hans is one of those games where there's take that in it because you can steal people's cubes and move them around and manipulate other people's stuff. But there's always a way to come back from it. It's one of the oddest games I've played where it has that kind of like really direct take that, and it never ruins my game.
Yeah. Well, when someone does attack you, you get so many perks for being attacked that it kind of soothes the wound a little bit.
Or it's like you might set yourself up to be messed with.
Yeah.
And they're going to be attacked at some point in the next round or two. Like everyone's going to get attacked at some point, so it evens out.
And on a secondary level, you can even metagame it and kind of set yourself up to be blocked when your whole intention was to go somewhere completely different, and you just wasted their moves thinking that they blocked you somewhere where you have no interest in. So it's got levels on it, which is one of the reasons I love that game.
So in terms of your thinking strategically, Hansa might not be a great example for this question. So if you can think of another game in your collection or one that you're passionate about, please feel free. And Dwayne, I think this probably applies for you for as many times as you've played Grand Austria Hotel. So when you start the game and the board is laid out and you've got everything in front of you and you collect, in terms of Austria, you collect those first employees, what the emperor goals are, what employees you have. At that point in the game, are you going, okay, I know what I need to do? Or is it something that you're forming later throughout the game? And how do you attack a strategy early in the game, and how do you pivot when you realize this isn't working?
Well, I think it's important to find a lane when you're playing a game like that. And what I mean by that is you've got a set of known conditions, whether it's the staff cards in your hand or the objectives that are available to be claimed, to where you can kind of find a way this is the thing that I'm going to specialize in this game. I know that I'm going to get a bonus on these particular actions, or just the way things line up. You can choose a path that you're going to go down, and oftentimes that will lead you to a really strong starting position. At the same time, you can kind of look and see the paths that other people are going down, and maybe delay that decision until you are comfortable with your lane, quote unquote.
Right.
And I think that's a good way to start a game, is to kind of find your lane, and at the same time try to avoid being in the same lane as somebody else. There's some downsides to sharing a lane, because you're contesting resources.
Right.
Things become harder to do, and you're essentially fighting each other. So
Yeah, especially in like worker placement or something.
Yeah.
You all have to go to the same places for the same things, and yeah.
So starting out, I think that's something that is a good way to approach it.
How far will you go into a game with a strategy before you go, oh, this was dumb, I'm getting out of this?
Sometimes right up until the end. I will write a strategy out, whether it's going to be a winning strategy or losing, just to see if how it pans out. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, but you'll never know unless you write it all the way.
And with things for repeated plays, and I'm thinking Grand Austria is on that list for me, and Puerto Rico. Like, I like to try things that probably won't work. Like, one of my favorite things is Puerto Rico is try to run a corn strategy where I produce nothing but corn. And I've had it work once or twice.
Those are some of my favorite plays of Puerto Rico with Dwayne. He just goes all in.
All
like
corn
this
all the
crop
time.
Does not give you any money for trading.
Yeah, it is a rough
VP,
strategy. You can work through it. There are ways. That's one thing I love about Puerto Rico is I really do think every strategy is valid. It just depends on what
Everyone else is doing.
Everything else is happening on the board, because you can make corn worth at least $3 if you play this right shops, buildings, and then you get a private ship where, like, I don't care that you're not letting me ship corn, I'll just ship all my corn on my private unlimited ship right here. So yeah, it's fun just to goof around with strategies on the things that I play a lot.
That's I think Terraforming Mars is like a prime example of that too. Just when you have like different corporations, that is just like kind of like a built-in way to try different strategies. I was thinking of asking for examples of where it's not as built in, but we can just pivot somewhere else.
Fair enough. I think the last time I played Magnificent Larry, or Lorenzo Il Magnifico, with you was with an expansion, and at the start of the game, I got lucky enough that the family that I had was heavily focused on bringing on new employees. I think it was bringing in additional people, the blue category.
Yes.
Okay. Characters. And it just happened to be that everything in that game lined up perfectly for me, and that was amazing. Now, if I had started that strategy and found in the first couple turns that it wasn't panning out the way I had hoped, I don't know what I would do at that point. Like, I don't think very strategically on the fly.
I was going for this. It's not working. Well, it is whatever happens.
Let's do this. This looks fun. So one thing with you, James, you're a good strategic thinker too, but you also get AP like bad.
I've gotten better over the years.
Gotten better. I don't get AP, but again, I don't win a lot of games, so I don't know if maybe I should stop goofing around and think a little bit. Mark, despite your wins, you don't really seem to delve too much into what option is best for you. It's like when you're playing, you're clicking, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things you can do, like you can kind of plan ahead of time if the game warrants that. But I think it's important to just be confident in your decisions, even if maybe it's suboptimal at the time. You're like, oh, this isn't necessarily the best thing I could do at this moment, but I've dedicated myself to this particular line. Maybe that'll change down the line. I'm hesitant to really overanalyze things, and when it gets to a point where it does require some thought, just explain that to the table. This is an important turn. I might take a little bit longer, but how I mentioned that earlier, a lot of it is just experience and being comfortable with it, and the idea that you're gonna play this game and get a repetition in and maybe learn some things. So who cares if your strategy doesn't pan out in that particular point in the game?
Well, I think it's interesting to have that wherewithal of, even going back to what you were saying a little while ago, of being okay losing, but to have the wherewithal of being cool with, not every turn's going to be the most optimized play, the most efficient play. I'm learning the game, but also in that moment to say, no, this turn matters. Give me a minute, guys. I got to figure this out. This is an important one. But then the next turn, maybe you don't care about it as much, right? Because you just know, like, what, this isn't as important. Let me just go ahead and do something to keep the game moving, and being okay with the fact that, is there possibly a better play that could have been done? Sure, but I'm not going to sit here for 10 minutes and figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to speak to, but with AP as well, is that fear of like not playing the perfect game. You just got to be okay with not doing that sometimes.
I go into every first game I play expecting to lose and knowing it's just a learning experience. And if it's a game that I hate, I'll never play it again. But if it's fun, then I might pick up the game, or I might ask for repeated plays. And see how it goes.
There's nothing better than getting crushed the first time you play a game, and your immediate thought is, I would play this so much differently, and I cannot wait for a second playthrough of this because I have learned a lot from what has happened here today.
Yeah.
My most recent example is Middle Ages.
Middle Ages, yeah.
JK completely, the whole table crushed me.
I destroyed you. I got destroyed by another player that I didn't
you actually ended up in third somehow, but but I'm still thinking about how would I combat that military strategy, because that somehow destroyed me and not everybody else, and I can't quite figure out how it happened. But that is a game that has me thinking, like, I need to play this another time and figure out if that were to happen again, how do I circumvent that?
Yeah,
Found it really interesting.
I keep thinking about this, being aware of other people's strategies and either like staying in your lane, or there might be a strategy to kind of compete in the same lane. I've been getting a lot of like repetition of 7 Wonders on BGA because you can do it real time in like 8 minutes. And I'm realizing like there are times where going for the military strategy just like does not pay off in the end. Because if you're maxing out at maybe like getting those like 5-point tokens in the third age, but your only loss is that you're getting -1s up to -2 points every age. So if you counterbalance it with science or whatever, then you can go for that. However, if another player is going for all the science cards, so they're getting snagged before you can even see it, then you got to go for something else.
7 Wonders is one of the best examples of using that kind of find your lane
like
strategy.
Experimentation, yeah.
Drafting games in general, but I think 7 Wonders is just so well balanced that it's one of the best games to adapt yourself to that kind of strategy. I think with military especially, one of the things that, and this occurs more when you're playing over the board rather than online, but sometimes kind of asserting your whatever lane you're in early on can be beneficial, because if somebody sees that you're going for militaries, they're not going to want to go blow for you, because in the end both of you are going to lose just having an arms race. So kind of establishing yourself early on and making it known to the rest of the table, hey, don't contest me for this. I'm doing military, y'all are going to lose. Just accept that. Then if you can get buy-in there, you don't have to worry about military for the rest of the game. You can go for blue buildings.
Yeah.
You can go for whatever you want. And as long as you stay 2 swords ahead of the rest of the table, or your neighbors rather, it's not that big of a deal.
So there's games like that where it's experimentation on like lanes and whatever. What about games that have kind of like chess-like opening moves, or like an opening move is like a really strong indicator of how the game is going to go? How do you approach those, or have examples of those?
Well, it varies game to game. I think it's important to note that every game is different. There's, we have all these different genres and styles of games, and it's hard to apply all of these ideas to everything. They're only going to work for certain games. I think for opening, if you don't really have a lot of insight on the game, you're just going to have to feel it out. But one thing you can do is, it's kind of like a follow the leader thing. If you know a couple people have played this game before, you can kind of see what they're valuing, and maybe pick up some hints from that. Other than that, it's hard to say, but you can also use and BGA is really great for this. If you're playing against people that are better than you can go back and watch replays. Mm-hmm. See what openings other people use, and that's a lot of times some of the best ways to get better is to just play people who are better than you, and then see what they're doing, and learn from that.
Watch the reel.
Yeah. if you're playing Hansa Teutonica and you're first player, do you always have a go-to move, or do you change it up?
Yeah, I do, but that's only because
That's a trade secret.
Pay more attention.
No, I'll give this one up. This one's one of my biggest criticisms of Hansa Teutonica is that on the first board, which is the board we play the most often, because a lot of times you're playing with new players, it's the kind of the opening is really set. It's not a game that you want to go a long time on 2 actions. So the upgrading the actions is 100% where I'm going if I've got first player. The additional benefit to that is as soon as you've upgraded actions, you've got a third action.
Right.
So if you really want to be a jerk, just throw another cube right down on the actions path. And you're blocking the next person, and then the whole table hates you at that point. So it could be a way to secure your loss, as beneficial as it might be, but you'll have to manage the aggro, but I think it's a really good play.
Well, that makes this whole strategy session worth it.
This is the real reason why JK wanted Mark on the pod.
Let's talk about some more games I play with you here.
I knew we were hanging out one day a while back, Mark, and I already knew you were good at games, but it clicked when we were talking about Acropolis one day. And for the Gleeples out there listening, Acropolis is really kind of a fun little tile laying game that when you lay tiles down, you end up stacking them up in levels, as high as 4 is possible, I think.
5 is possible. 5 is possible if you and you'll have 2 tiles to spare.
Okay. So you know this.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you're putting these tiles out, little let's call them hexagons. I think they're hexagons, and you're stacking them up. And at the end of the game, you score your tiles for the number of blues versus this icon on them and different stuff. Each tile color has its own scoring condition. But the conceit of the game is as you're playing, you're covering up other tiles that you previously played to lay down new ones. So what your strategy might have been might change and this and that. But it's a easy peasy breezy game, not complicated at all. Meant to be 20 minutes. I mean, not very long.
You could also build out your city in just this great sprawl and not go up any levels and get all the points for everything you have, but you're not going to get any multipliers for going up higher.
Yes, yeah. Each level you go up, it's a multiplier towards your score. So it's a neat game. Strategy, yes. But then also I'm just like, it's an easy breezy tile laying game. I'm talking to Mark one day and he tells me, I was playing with a buddy of mine. We just played it back to back to back to back. And this is how you do this. This is how you do this. And I was like, this is Acropolis, man. What do you know? Why are you deep, man? Just like, okay, you take every game right down to that level. Which it takes a certain kind of mind to want to, I think, mine all of what a game is designed to do. Right. I mean, really the designers of these games have this stuff in mind. They want us to figure this stuff out, I feel like. And we probably all grew up playing a few games a lot for the most part. Like the classics, but we all had the same games we played growing up, over and over and over again. Modern board gaming, most people don't play games more than a couple times each, maybe a few times. But a lot of these modern games are meant to be played a lot more to find these strategies. It's just many of us don't, but there's a lot to get out of.
Yeah, I mean, we have tools now like BGA to where we can play people online. You know, get as many reps as you want. But I think you're limited when you have to talk about, you know, finding friends to play at a table. But I love playing games over and over again. I would much rather play a game that I love, you know, the 50th time than play a complete new game where we've got to read the rules for 45 minutes and set everything up.
What about a silly random game that has no strategy to it? Are you down?
I'm down, but I want a little bit of strategy.
Some weight.
Just a
Some weight.
something to chew on.
I know. I'm trying to think. What's the easiest, like, lightweight game that Mark has, like, a deep-hearted strategy that no one ever thinks of?
Strike.
Maybe.
I have to roll dice with a counterclockwise rotation.
Or it's just
So
like even
Clover
the
Master.
decision to like push your luck with an extra dice. Like, okay, there's 4 dice and there are these numbers and the statistics of blah blah blah.
For me, as I say, cockroach poker. It's a game where everybody wins, only one player loses. So you don't really have to focus on winning; you just have to focus on not losing.
Yeah.
Nice.
But there's some. It's very simple rules. You know, it's mostly just lying to people, but there's some strategy in there.
Do you have? Is there like a game experience where you were kind of had like an epiphany, like maybe 10, 20, 30 plays in, or are your strategies more kind of like you just learn more about the game kind of incrementally?
Usually it's just I'm just learning as I go, but there's definitely been some games that, you know, you start really seeing the matrix. You see the levels behind everything. Probably the one that has been most recent, I guess within the past year or two, is Arc Nova. The first time I played Arc Nova, I was like, I don't know about this game. And it's like, it feels like you just get the right card draws, you know, you're set to win. The more games I've played of that, the more I've seen all sorts of interesting strategies that are layered throughout the games. Every time I play, I find some interesting little interaction that I've never seen before.
Nice.
And the tens of, you know, hundreds of games that I've played. And I think that's the one that really speaks to me at the moment.
Did you hear that, Dwayne?
No, I've tried that game enough. There's other things for me to do.
It took me
out
several
there.
games to get in.
Mark said Arc Nova, and Dwayne was like, "How's the paint job on my these days?" All right.
I have done everything I can to enjoy that game, and it's just not meant to be.
Yeah, you don't have to.
There's a lot of games out there.
I was about to say that's the
There's a lot
beauty
of
of our
games,
hobby
yeah.
right now.
Well, I mean, from all the things that you've said, I feel like some of the big takeaways, for those wanting to get better at strategy, right? If you're trying to play a game better, not just to win for winning's sake, but I think truly to mine what games are trying to, you know, give you the experience for. That was a weird sentence.
We can edit it out later.
Yeah, to really try and get down to what the designers had in mind, right, when they were building out these strategies and designing the game, is to have patience, be okay with losing, and give the game a chance.
That's what I was thinking. I would boil it down. I feel like my takeaways from this conversation are repetition and reflection. And it's if you can come in with like humble, patient, like attitude and just ready to have fun and experience it in the moment, then I think you'll be okay.
See, I got stay in the lane that you chose. Have a strategy. Don't be distracted by the big shiny bonus card that just came out that has nothing to do with your strategy, because you're only going to minimize what you got. So I'm gonna focus on staying in my lane.
Yeah, your red cafe table strategy really worked well. Not street JK.
Weeks later, I'm still mad
It's
about
because
that.
I took JK's lane.
See, I heard about that strategy, and it seems like you did get distracted by shiny things along the way.
Well, Mark, thanks for joining us today and sharing some of your gaming wisdom.
Yeah, of course.
I think we're going to talk about our game of the show briefly, but we're going to bring Mark back for the game challenge, right?
Yeah, I got a fun one for you guys.
Okay.
Yep, I'm excited. I always love a good game challenge.
Woo-woo.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks all.
All right, everybody. This episode's game of the show was Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp is published by Rio Grande Games, and it was designed by Richard Borg and Mike Fitzgerald. The art was by France Vowinkel. It was released in 2001, plays 2 to 4 players, but it's at its most gleeful with 3 players. JK, mosey us through Wyatt Earp.
At its heart, Wyatt Earp is very similar to the card game Rummy. And if you've never played Rummy, your goal is to take the hand of cards that you have been dealt, and each round, by drawing and then subsequently discarding a card at the end of the round, you're trying to build out matching sets of numbers or consecutive runs of numbers in the same suit. The winner of Rummy is going to be the person that can get those cards played out in front of them in those collections and then ultimately have a card to discard at the end. Wyatt Earp is very similar. We're playing with 7 different outlaws, all who have 7 cards apiece in the deck. You are trying to collect a set number of outlaws and then play them out in front of you, ideally 3 or more, as that is going to contribute to a pot of money that you are going to earn if that outlaw is successfully captured at the end of the round. In addition, each turn you have the option to play a sheriff card. Sheriff cards have a variety of powers throughout the game. Some might let you grab a card from somewhere in the discard pile as opposed to the top card of the discard pile. Others might protect you from different sheriff cards being used to attack you. And even in a worst case scenario, one of those sheriff's cards can make an entire scoring pile in front of you just disappear. Temporarily, yes. Your goal is to play out as many cards in your hand as you can to get that hand depleted and end the round. Once that round is over, you're going to look and see if the outlaws were captured. That is successfully done by seeing how many capture points have been played by all players in total, and then you're going to look at how much money is in their pool for the bounty and split that. The game will play over a number of hands. Ultimately, one player, once they receive $25,000 in bounty money, triggers the end game and could possibly be the winner unless somebody else outmuscles them in the last round. That's Wyatt Earp. Now let us talk about whether it was good, bad, or even ugly.
What a weird game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
Do you play Rummy normally?
No.
Okay.
I play Rummy Cube.
Okay.
Which
some same
so
characteristics.
Rummy has some variants out there.
Sure.
This being one of them. But Rummy Cube is probably the most popular family tabled game, right? The party-ish, style game. But very similar, right? You're trying to. What JK didn't mention in his run through is that part of the game isn't just you building your own sets, but you can also play off of other people's sets.
That's a Rummy thing as well.
Yeah. And so that's you see it in different ways in these variants. Rummy Cube does it, this does it. But I feel like it's used in different ways. And you see that here as well, which makes it very interesting. But yeah, with that and then the sheriff cards, which are like interruptions in the normal flow of things, it was just unexpected experience when we played it.
So, for me, Wyatt Earp is a game that came into my collection because my wife and my larger family loves Rummy-style games. Skip-Bo is like in our camping game kit every time we go camping. I hate Skip-Bo with a passion. I would almost rather play Uno than Skip-Bo because it is every round, draw a card, make a decision, discard a card. Might be the wrong decision. Who knows? What I like about Wyatt Earp is because of the way the bounties stack on the outlaws, I feel like you get to make informed decisions about what you're discarding, what you're deciding to hold on to, when to play the sheriff cards. So I like that there is a very strategic component to a game that usually has very little strategy. Rummy being that game.
Yeah, I would agree.
I am putting sentences together really well today.
This was an interesting turn for me, and I don't remember whether I mentioned this on the last show when you announced that we were playing this, but prior to you talking about this, I had never heard of this game. I had no idea what it was, no idea what to expect going in.
Yeah, it's I refer to it as a classic, and I guess in my mind it is a classic because it's one of the first kind of hobby games that I played when I really started going to game stores and meeting other gamers. And I liked it because I think it's a low threshold to entry. It would I would classify it as a gateway game for me because it does kind of take that next step into hobby gaming. But it's so easy to play. It's the only difficulty with explaining the game is the sheriff cards, because those are a little weird, and each one, there's 6 or 7 of them. Each one kind of does its own thing, but a few of them work very similar. Usually you're going to get a few more capture points on an outlaw, or you're going to get a little more money on the outlaw with the sheriff card. So overall they kind of have a theme to them, but then you have things like the hideout that just can completely possibly temporarily cover up somebody's points and take you from a losing position on outlaw to where you could possibly be in the running for money.
Well, and one of the fun factors with the sheriff cards as well, every single outlaw card has a bullet hole on it. None of the sheriff cards do.
Correct.
So with many of the sheriff cards, their action itself requires you to flip a random card over off of the draw pile and see whether you get a bullet hole or not. Some of the other sheriff cards, there's a couple of them, I think, that also have an option where you can go with the easy route, where it just does a lesser action, or you can do the more advanced route and take that chance to see the bullet hole. So not only are you putting strategy into this, but there's that element of chance for what do you see coming off the draw pile.
That's a gateway game makes sense, because as if you heard our last episode, I was very confused, couldn't even tell what Dwayne was saying, thought I had never heard of it. Halfway through the game, it clicked. I was like, oh, I do remember this game. Dwayne did teach me this game. And I go look through my BG stats, and there is, I think, a 5-month window from when I joined the group to when I downloaded BG stats. And so within those 5 months, Dwayne taught me this game, because this was my first logged play of it. But it was a treat to like bring it back. I love games that kind of are like the classics with a twist. It brings some new life into it, and like you were talking about, Dwayne, like just a little bit more strategy.
Yeah, and with that randomness of the card draw, when you're trying to get those bullet hole icons, that was the only piece in the game where it ever felt like, and this is to the credit of the game really, where I wasn't really in control. I felt like, what I almost didn't kind of expect going into it as a card game. But like you said, Dwayne, there's the way they play this out, there's a lot of strategy involved, and you have more, what's the word I'm thinking of? Control, I guess, of what's going on than you might realize at first, which I think can be misleading if you're first time playing, trying to figure out what's going on. And then you finally connect the dots, and it's like, oh, I actually can play a couple turns ahead and keep things in mind. But that card draw of the bullet holes is the one thing that was like, there's randomness involved, but one, it leads to some fun moments.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. It's not like you get one bad draw and your game's ruined.
Yeah.
You're doing it throughout the entire game.
There was a round of play where I had an amazing opening move, where I think out of the 7 cards in my hand, I was able to play 6 of the same outlaw to start the round.
That was ridiculous.
And everybody at the table just went, oh. And then you guys spent the rest of that round trying to figure out how to get the hideout on that pile and shut it down.
Because not only was it just like a strong opening play, this happened to be the outlaw
that had the most money in the pool as well.
Because she had evaded us round after round after round until somehow JK was gifted 6 of that card.
Yeah. So I managed to successfully fight off a couple hideout draws thanks to, either lucky bullet hole draws on my part or unlucky bullet hole draws on your part. And then eventually somebody managed to get a hideout on it and totally blocked me from scoring. So.
You may have put a pretty big target on your base.
So I really do enjoy it. You spoke about the one outlaw who just kept receiving money every round, but she was a Belle Star. It was Belle Star who eluded us round after round. And I love that component of the game that you can have these outlaws that start the round with mega bucks on them, and the game becomes, how do I get in on this piece of the pie?
And it's like get in or keep others out, because that's like if you're given a hideout on that very first like that draw when everyone's eyeing the same prize, it's like, oh, I'm waiting to use this hideout. Like this stays with me.
Yeah.
I feel reasonably certain at a point when I played that 6 card draw out, Like you need 25,000 to win the game. I feel like Bellstar had 20,000 on her alone.
She had a lot of money on her. Yeah,
That would definitely have been a game changer.
I have played a lot of this game. I don't think I've ever seen an outlaw go like uncontested. Of course, with 4 players, you do a few more rounds. I think we ended up playing 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So the rounds varied just depending on how long it takes you to get to that 25,000 mark. With 2 players, it tends to happen a little bit faster. But yeah, just to see that money pile on Bell round after round was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I had a very bad first round, thanks to JK.
We all had a bad first round.
I did too. Yeah. I didn't really understand the game through the first hand. After that, I kind of put it together.
And so I was feeling good, and then you slapped down on the one set I had and just took it out of play. And so I ended the first round with like a couple thousand or something, and y'all probably had 6, 7, or 8 or something. And I was like, well, what? Dang it. But then we got into the second round and it started to click, like what you were saying, Emily. Like at a certain point, I'm like, oh, I get it. And when everyone else was focusing on Bellstar, so I was behind. And so I had to figure out a strategy to keep you all from getting more money while simultaneously earning me money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a couple rounds in a row, or a few rounds in a row, focusing on that. And what I discovered is that this game gives you a lot of control to manipulate the pace of the game.
Yes.
Because you can force the close out of rounds.
Absolutely.
And boy, did I do that. To great effect.
So infuriating.
And Bellstar ended up with $20,000+ on her.
That was one of those rounds, much like Grand Austria for me. I'm like, if I had one more turn that could have secured what I needed to going into the final round or just like end of game. And James sitting to my right just closed it out. He was like, I'm out of cards. I'm like, no.
Well, one thing that I don't think JK mentioned in the run through is that rummy games have this element of melds sometimes. And it shows itself in different ways. And Rummy Cube, you have to have at least 30 points on your first play. You have to meld 30 points on your first play to even get to play the game at all. And this game, I think that they bring that through in the fact that for a outlaw to score at all, there has to be a total of 8 total points
to capture them.
To capture them.
Yeah.
At the end of the round, among all the players. Showing, meaning not under hideouts, there has to be 8 capture points in play at least.
So I feel like that's this Rummy's version of melds, is that each one has to reach at least 8, then they score.
Yeah.
So you can look around and see what people are looking towards and decide, and that's one of the rounds, that's what I did. I realized if I end now, I have an okay amount of points and no one else has 8 in anything. It'll be kind of a stalled round for them, but it inches me a little bit closer. And so I was playing that slow game of like closing rounds out and inching each round to get me back in the game. And it was interesting to realize that you have the ability to do that in this game. I didn't expect that.
That's what, like, I'm so glad we had Mark on today because I'm just I'm thinking of like there was a strategy you have at the beginning of the round. There's the component of reactive strategy. We were really playing off of each other and what plays people were doing. And then there's this element of like doing suboptimal plays, because I think there was a round where I think you had forgotten the 8 capture point, and so you had like I think 6, so you didn't get to capture the money.
I did,
but it allowed you to help end the round, thereby just like, all right, like you might have a garbage hand and be like, okay, I'm just gonna try to force it, hope I have a better starting hand for the next round, and you can force an end with minimal damage.
And those are the calculations that make this like just a top tier game for me.
Yeah.
Just how clever adding a few components on top of a rummy game make it such a more interesting experience.
It really does elevate the experience.
Yeah.
I also have to shout out the artwork in this game, which I think is great. You have these placards for each outlaw. And they're almost like wood carvings. The artwork's really interesting on those. And then on top of that, you've got a history about each outlaw that's always sitting on the table. So if you have your turn figured out, you can spend a little time learning about Butch Cassidy or the Sundance Kid, which is just a nice little bit of history on top of everything.
So I'll be the counterpoint to that. And you pointed out this game came out in 2001. And I think, was the manufacturer Aaliyah?
One of the publishers.
Rio Grande.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was the greatest looking game ever. It's just kind of, and this is kind of a thing with all of the games from that company, from that era. It's just kind of washed out color wise. Like it wasn't very vibrant.
But that's
I think
what
it works
I think,
for the Old West theme.
That's what I was just going to say. It's I think that is very true of Rio Grande. Like I'm thinking of like Dominion. But I think it really works and adds to just kind of the feel of the game for me.
It feels dusty, and
it does. It does.
Appropriately so.
Like I feel like if I were to get a new Wyatt Earp game, the cards would feel weathered, even though they're like brand new, just by like the Old Western.
Well, when you were
theme.
initially putting your notes together for your intro to the game, you had Vincent Dutrait as the artist, which I clearly went, that's not a Vincent Dutrait game. There's
well,
no
and
way.
but he did do it for the new edition.
If there's a new edition out there, that might catch my attention.
I have not seen, but I want to say the cards in this game, it's smaller than a standard size American card.
Oh, that's annoying.
I think the new edition actually has larger cards, which is fine. But no, I love this edition so much.
Yeah, my brain was tingling once it started to click. And like you said, you can be clever in how you play.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that in round 2 immediately.
Yeah.
I had that bad round. I was like, man, how do I come back from that? Y'all are way ahead of me. And then it clicked and I was like, oh, I have a chance. You're telling me I have a chance.
Yeah, so there are, this game can be very swingy, but you will see the swing coming. It will not, you're not going to really be surprised when you lose a round or lose the game because you can see it coming. Sometimes you could have played another card maybe and ended the round earlier. Maybe it wouldn't have helped, but it's just an all-around fascinating game.
Oh, yeah. JK, I'm looking at images of the updated versions. They are super vibrant. It almost feels like
that's
like
some Vincent. There we go.
Yeah.
I know. No. That's why I can't think of that. It looks like a Fisher Price Wyatt Earp in my mind.
My first Wyatt Earp. All right. So let's see. How did we do on the game, everyone?
Thanks to my all-in on Bell Star strategy, which failed, I believe I finished dead last out of the group.
I was leading the game from round 2, I think. I was doing so well.
Yeah.
I was like, I got this in the bag. This is great. I love this. I'm already starting to pick out my next game of the show. I wasn't, but I could have been. And then James just had that one round that just kind of flipped it for us.
And what a wonderful surprise it is to have James win a game of the show.
won a game!
The wait is over.
The wait is over. For the first time ever in Gleeful Meeple podcast history, James is our winner.
So
Thank you. No, stop the applause. Please. Thank you.
I am really excited to find out what you have prepared for our next game of the show, James.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring something that we've talked about on the show. We've mentioned...
Was it mentioned on this episode?
The game wasn't mentioned, but the company
No, because
may have
that
been.
hasn't happened yet.
Ooh.
So we've mentioned a
Good
name.
point.
We've mentioned the name of a company quite a few times, and we appreciate their Kickstarter campaigns
Oh,
and
it's
their
Simon.
and their design
Oh,
styles.
no. Oh, no.
Yes. I brought Blood Rage for you to play with all the expansions all in.
Let's go.
Loki Strat, here we go. We are playing a Garfield game because I think, Dwayne, you said you've only played Architects. Is that right?
I think that's correct. No, Viscounts.
Viscounts, that's right.
Yeah.
Have you played
we-
any? Emily,
Paladins
you played Paladins.
and the C one, Wayfarers.
Wayfarers.
The C1 Wayfarers.
Wayfarers.
Wayfarers of the South Tigris.
Not that C.
The letter C. Nice, Dwayne.
I always want to call it Seafarers because I think I'm thinking of the Catan expansion, and we had to edit it several times in our early episodes. But it's Wayfarers. Yeah, I have played 2 of them.
Okay. And I know you played a
I've
number
played
of
them.
them.
I've played them all. Yeah.
We are playing Raiders of
Yes.
Scythia.
Oh.
Yeah,
twist.
Oh.
All right. You've not played
Plot
this
twist.
one.
Okay.
So Raiders of Scythia is the re-implementation of Raiders of the North Sea that had 3 expansions released for it. They re-released that game as Raiders of Scythia with all those expansions integrated into the game experience. So way more streamlined, a new theme, and I think you're all going to really enjoy it.
Nice. I am excited.
I figured it was due time that we play one of those games since we mention them
We
quite
do.
often.
Yeah, very nice.
They deserve the praise. We'll see
So
how
many
this goes.
games.
We didn't talk about whether Wyatt Earp was where it
shoot.
lands on the Glee meter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna have
should
to
probably go. We should
insert
probably go
that
through
back
that.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
All right. I think we've talked about Wyatt Earp a lot. Let's figure out, are we keeping it to play or are we trading it away? Dwayne, since you brought the game, how about we start with you?
Yeah, of course, I'm going to keep this one to play. I
Shocker.
just think it's a light, easy to learn, hard to master style of game. I love introducing it to people, especially because every so often we have new people come in like, I play a lot of card games. Great, I've got something that's going to fit into your wheelhouse.
So my in-laws and I play Rummy a lot. Rummy is definitely a common game to be seen in our house. And Rummy as it is random enough on its own that I think the sheriff cards and the bullet holes probably just pushed it one step too far on the random side for me. And
Interesting.
wasn't blown away with the look, the design of the game, the card size, the artwork. I didn't hate it by any means, but I don't think this is going to be in my collection. Maybe the Vincent Dutrade version. Let's see if that redeems it. But this one was fun. But I don't. I think if I had it in the collection, I wouldn't get to play it enough to make it worthwhile.
For me, it was a delightful surprise. I don't play a lot of classic style card games. I play cribbage. I grew up playing that. But outside of that, I mean, a couple trick takers here and there, but none of the more in-depth ones for the most part outside of cribbage. Like in my mind, hearts and spades aren't very in-depth card games, but Rummy can get a little involved. But that being said, delightful surprise. It actually would be or is a keep it to play for me. I would like to have it in the collection because I think it could be a fun one to bring out when you want that card game experience, but with a fun little twist.
Yeah. Echoing our conversation with Mark from earlier, this is a game I want to get my repetitions in. I want to reflect on it. It's the little twists and the situations that you can find yourself in with those sheriff cards. It just really excites me. So I'm going to keep it to play.
All right, that's a 3 out of 4 on the Glee meter for Wyatt Earp.
So, I think we've talked enough about games that it's time to play a game on air. No, not a board game, a game about board games. This week, James has brought us a game to play.
I have.
Oh God, he got a riddle and a game in the same show. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm being spoiled.
Ugh.
It's been quite a few episodes since I brought a game, so I had to bring a good one.
All right, what you got?
I'm going to
for us?
make your brain. So, JK,
Oh God.
what's a card game that we've been enjoying a lot lately?
Far Away.
Far Away.
Yeah.
What's the unique thing about that game?
In that you're playing cards out sequentially, but then at the end of the game, you're scoring them backwards.
Yeah. I'm going to give you guys names of games backwards.
Nope. I'm out.
This might be worse than the anagram game. Or harder, not worse.
So just as an example, what would you think this game is? Neva Mulg.
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven.
Yes. So we'll go around the table, and if you don't get yours, then we'll pass to the next person, and we'll just see who can rack up the most points.
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
getting everybody writing utensils, so y'all, you Gleeples out there can't see, just in case it's helpful to write these things out. But this is also a fun game because I didn't have to focus so much on games that everybody has played. It's very challenging. You make all these games so much, and you try and find games that we've all played.
Yeah.
Eventually, that cross section
This
kind of
one's just
thins out.
words.
You just have to focus on how to pronounce words backwards.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah. And we all have knowledge of games we haven't played before, at least titles.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Dwayne.
Oh, good.
Dwayne, your first game is Wodium. Wodium.
Nope.
Nope. JK, go over to you.
That is Meadow.
That is Meadow indeed.
Nice.
Congratulations, JK. You are on the board with 1 point. All right, JK, you are next.
Okay.
We have Et Der Lard Attack.
Et Dare.
Et Der Lard Attack.
Say it one more time.
We have Et Der Lard Attack.
I've got this one.
Give you 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Four,
I think I've got a word in the middle, but not enough to
three,
put the whole game together. I'm gonna pass.
2. All right, passing on to Mark. Any guesses, Mark?
I don't have a guess.
No guess from Mark. Over to Emily. She's writing stuff down.
I have so many variations of what this might be. Can you say it one more time slowly?
I have Et Der Lard Attack.
I'm just thinking of being attacked by lard.
5.
Oh, no. I'm going to have to pass to
Oh, pass to Dwayne. He's chomping at the bit over there.
Is it cartographers?
It's not cartographers.
Oh, no.
We went around the table.
So I don't know a game that's fitting this, but I'm getting cathedral out of it. Is
Yes,
cathedral
you are.
one of the words?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Oh, red cathedral?
Red cathedral.
Cathedral. I don't know if anybody got that point. It all kind of mumbled together. Et Der.
I definitely didn't get cathedral, so.
All right, moving on to the next one. Mark, this one is for you.
Oh boy.
Idnugrub. Foe. Seltsack et.
I'm gonna need you to say that again.
Idnugrub. Foe. Seltsack et.
Oh wait.
JK.
One more time.
We have Idnugrub. Foe. Seltsack et.
Castles of Burgundy.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Mark got it. On the board, tied with JK. Going over to Miss Emily over here. You ready?
Yes.
Hesitantly. We have Dei Fear Ro. Dei Fear Ro. The intense writing on the table right now.
Oh,
I
my
got
word. Say it again.
We have Dei Fear Ro.
It's very Klingon sounding.
Oh, no. I can't get it.
Sounds like a Nord in Skyrim.
Yeah.
It kind of does, yeah. I'm casting off dragons here. What's the?
horrified.
Yes.
I got it. I was
Well
just
done.
about to pass.
Well done.
Emily. What are their name? What are the
Fusroda.
Yeah, the characters. What are they called? Not the names, but the type of person.
Oh, I don't remember.
Monsters?
No, the
From
the-
Skyrim.
From Skyrim, the dragon
Nope.
speak folk. Okay. All right, next one. Dwayne, we are back to you. We have Enort Acid. Enort Acid.
Nope.
No thoughts at all?
Nope. This is not my style of game. I'm trying.
Passing on to JK.
Pass it on.
That's dice throwing.
That is dice throwing.
well
JK
done.
got it. JK is taking the lead temporarily. We got a ways to go, though.
because apparently my brain works well backwards.
That tracks.
That tracks. was going to say a joke, and I felt like that could be mean. I'm not going to say no.
I got you.
I kid. Mark, over to you.
Oh, it's still my turn.
Oh, that was
I stole
passed to you.
Dwayne's.
Yeah,
That's
that was
right.
a steal.
You get an opportunity to double down on points.
Yeah.
Hey, here we go.
Let's go.
All right. Draugdim, foe, Snowwhip Mac. Draugdim,
I got this one.
foe, Snowwhip Mac.
Champions of Midgard.
Yes, sir. The
Yeah.
one and only best Viking game ever designed. I'm saying it now on the podcast. Just putting it out there.
The letters I am writing down to try to like phonetically match what you're saying are so off from like the real words. Like for Midgard, I wrote down Midword.
No.
So that's the closest one I've had so far.
So you're saying I need to make it harder.
No.
Please don't.
I'm just amazed I can even like recognize kind of what I'm writing.
All right, Mark, this one's over to you. We have Sram Gnimrofaret.
Yep, got this one too.
Sram Gnimrofaret.
I think now my brain is like sinking.
Yep.
It took a second.
One more time.
Sram Gnimrofaret.
Is this Terraforming Mars?
It is
is,
Terraforming
yeah.
Mars. Those GNs are a little challenging. All right, this one's over to you, Emily.
All right, I'm ready.
We have Semanadok. Semanadok. JK just keeps giving me these sneaky eyes.
Code names.
Yep.
It is code
Darn
name.
it,
Nice.
Emily.
All right. I'm sorry, Dwayne.
Ugh.
Enikam Retao. Enikam Retau.
Horticulture?
Not horticulture.
Okay.
Give it one more time.
Nope. Okay, I'll try it one more time. What'd you got?
Enikam Retau. Retau.
I don't have anything.
You
Go for
passing
JK.
it?
Yep. What you
JK, what do you think?
That's Weather Machine.
That is Weather Machine. JK takes another and dips back into the double down opportunity pool here.
Emily's looking stunned over here on the other side of the table.
I had UATERMAKENE.
That's all
like,
consonants. All right. No, wait, what?
there's a couple of vowels,
Oh,
but
are
I'm
there?
like,
Okay.
I'm like outer making.
Outer limits.
Yeah.
All right, JK, your next game is Segnag et Fo Sajar.
Hmm.
Do you want to hear it again?
Yes.
Segnag et Fo Sajar.
Rajas of the Ganges.
It is Rajas of the
Nice, yep.
Ganges. All right, Mark, over to you. You have Dab Nyapmak. Dab Nyapmak.
Bad Company.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. It
is.
is
Yeah.
Bad Company. Boop, 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 boop. All right, let's go over to Great White. Oh, jeez, that's the name of the game. Let's go over to Emily.
James, I think I got
I think
it.
you got this one. All right, Emily, your next game that I won't spoil is Iroif Alim. Iroif Alim.
Millefiori.
It is Mille Fiori. Yes, yes. All right, Dwayne, I believe in you.
Okay, let's go.
Your next game is Etangam Nyak Doof. Etangam Nyak Doof.
JK, you've got a look on your face.
I
like
love
you
being
got
right
it.
behind Dwayne.
You are just-
I was about to say.
That is Fudcom.
Fudcom. That's a different podcast, Dwayne.
You just hear beeping for like 3 straight seconds.
Etangam Nyak Doof.
Go for it, JK.
It is food chain magnates.
It is
Nice.
food chain
Oh,
magnates.
good one.
Doof. I like doof.
I do appreciate that you are like putting breaks in where the words are. That's helping my brain a little bit.
I'm trying. This is hard enough as it is. All right, JK. This one, we might have a challenge. This one might make your brain.
All right, it's about time.
Let's see. Your game is Enin Tenalp Raf Suk Et Werk Et.
I'm going to need you to give me that one again.
I got this one.
Enin Tenalp Raf Suk Et Werk Et.
It's the crew, the search for Planet 9. This is that the wrong?
Enin Tenalp Raf Suk Et Werk Et.
What did you say?
The crew, the what is the what's the name of the game?
You're so close.
You're so close.
It's the crew, the
Suk.
quest for Planet 9.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
Nailed it. No problems at all.
Yeah.
First try.
All right. Mark, you have Magnim Rib, Sarb. Magnim Rib, Sarb.
Brass Birmingham.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. It is Brass Birmingham. I feel like Dwayne's getting.
I saw that
You got
one.
a lot of these.
Yeah.
Just not on your turn. I can hear your brain ticking in your eyes. All right. Last one actually goes to Emily.
Until I steal it.
No.
If you don't know it, Dwayne will steal this one.
Uh-oh.
Emily, your game is Nois Sesobo.
Hold on. Okay. No, Sobo?
Nois Sesobo.
JK's got it.
Oh, that's it. Obsession.
That's it. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't obsess too much over the clue. It's not that hard.
That was great.
All right. Yeah, that is the game, you guys. Well done.
Yay.
Well done.
That was a lot enough.
Well, some of us did well.
Nice.
Did you see what I got?
A lot of fun.
Yeah, thank
Yep,
you.
I
Thank
got
you.
you, JK.
Good job, JK. Final tally is we have Dwayne with his participation ribbon,
Yay.
JK with all of JK and Dwayne's points.
Mark with 4, Emily with 4, and JK in the lead with 7.
Yep.
Shared victory with Dwayne. Congratulations, you two. What a pair. What a pair.
Thank you. Mark, thanks again for coming to visit with us. We'll see you again soon at a Gleeful Meeple event.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'll see y'all around.
Hey guys, are we done?
Did we do it again?
I think we
did
did
it.
do it.
We did it.
I'm going to miss talking to you guys for a little bit, but let's start out by thanking our sponsors, NFL Europe. It's football season here in the States. What a better way to support our league than rooting for the Scottish Claymores or the Amsterdam Admirals, the Barcelona Dragons, the Rhine Fire, the Frankfurt Galaxy. So much NFL quality football being played elsewhere. It's football time in America. It's America's pastime. So go see it somewhere else. Thanks for listening, folks.
I got a question for you about that.
Yeah.
Who lasted longer, the European NFL or the XFL?
Well, in theory, the XFL is still around. It has merged with the USFL, and they are still an active league.
Oh, wow.
That's why the USFL is not one of our sponsors, because they could be. Who knows? Hey, it is. We're creeping up on mid-September. There's September. There's a whole bunch of things going on. We just did our second event at Game Point and had the second highest attended event ever for Gleeful Meeple at just a standard event. We are going to keep that going on into October. Expect to see our first event at IV Studios. We've got big plans for that coming up. Check our calendar. Please find us on the internet, and you can also email us at pod@gleefulmeeple.com or Instagram at Gleeful Meeple Pod. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Gleeples.
Bye.